Did you really think WWE was going to let this happen? Did you honestly believe that one man, no matter how talented, no matter how defiant, could stand alone against an unstoppable force like the Vision? Well, last Monday night on Raw, something absolutely earth-shattering went down that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming, and frankly, if you didn't have your jaw on the floor watching this unfold, then you weren't paying attention. We need to talk about this right now because this changes everything for CM Punk, and honestly, this might be the most pivotal moment in WWE programming all year. Last week, I'm sure most of you caught the absolutely brutal beatdown that CM Punk suffered at the hands of the Vision. This mysterious entity has been terrorizing Monday Night Raw for weeks, leaving a trail of destruction and broken dreams in his wake. But here's what infuriated the WWE Universe, and I can't stress this enough: Punk was alone. He was isolated, he was vulnerable, and the Vision was absolutely demolishing him with no mercy, no compassion, and zero regard for human decency. The referee was about to throw the match out. The crowd was losing it. Security couldn't even contain the violence. And just when it looked like Punk was going to be absolutely destroyed on live television, something happened that made the entire arena lose their collective minds. The iconic guitar riff. That unmistakable sound. The sound that made generations of wrestling fans jump out of their seats. Chris Jericho, the man himself, the wizard, the demo god, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla, the list maker, the man who has essentially done it all in professional wrestling, who has main event WrestleManias, who has held more championships across more companies than anyone in history, was standing at the top of that ramp, and the place absolutely erupted. But wait, it doesn't stop there. Because Jericho didn't just come out for a simple save. Oh no, this is Chris Jericho we're talking about. The man who has reinvented himself more times than most wrestlers have matches. He came down to the ring with purpose. He came down with intensity. And when the Vision turned his attention toward Jericho, something absolutely unexpected happened. Instead of backing down, instead of showing an ounce of fear, Jericho looked the Vision dead in the eyes and started laying into him with chops, kicks, and strikes that echoed throughout the entire arena. The crowd was absolutely unhinged. This was the return that changed the trajectory of Monday Night Raw forever. Here's what makes this moment so absolutely crucial to understand: Chris Jericho returning isn't just about saving CM Punk from immediate danger. This is about symbolism. This is about a veteran, a living legend, essentially putting his body on the line to protect a guy that he's had history with. Sure, they've had their differences in the past. Sure, they've been on opposite sides of many feuds. But in this moment, at this exact second in time, Jericho recognized that something bigger than their personal beef was happening. The Vision represents chaos. The Vision represents unpredictability. And the Vision, by all accounts, needs to be stopped. The rescue itself was absolutely surgical in its execution. Jericho didn't just come out and hit the Vision with a chair or something cheap like that. No, Jericho used his brain. He used his decades of experience. He hit the Vision with the code breaker out of absolutely nowhere, and the Vision went down hard. For the first time in weeks, this mysterious entity was grounded, was hurt, was vulnerable. And the statement that made was incredible. It told the entire locker room that no matter how dangerous, no matter how destructive, no matter how seemingly unstoppable, nobody is unbeatable. But let's talk about what this means for CM Punk, because that's really where the story gets interesting. Punk has been fighting an uphill battle against the Vision for weeks. He's been scratching and clawing, trying to overcome this force of nature, and he was getting nowhere. The Vision would beat him down week after week, and Punk would have to find a way to recover just in time for the next assault. It was exhausting to watch. It was painful to witness. But now Punk has a partner. Now Punk has an ally. And not just any ally, he has Chris Jericho, a man with the experience, the cunning, and the absolutely elite level skill set to make a real difference. So here's the burning question that we absolutely need to discuss in the comments: do you think that Jericho's return is purely about helping Punk, or do you think there's something deeper going on here? Is Jericho planning to use this situation to his advantage? Is he looking to challenge the Vision himself? Or is he genuinely playing the role of the veteran coming to help out a younger talent? Because if there's one thing we know about Chris Jericho, it's that the man always has an agenda. He's never just a simple good guy coming to save the day. There's always a layer, always a mind game, always something brewing beneath the surface. And another thing, what are your thoughts on the Vision as a character? Is this entity real? Is this something supernatural? Is this a masked competitor? Is this some kind of psychological manifestation? Because the way the Vision has been presented, it's been absolutely creepy, absolutely unsettling, and absolutely effective in terms of being a threat. The mysterious nature of this character has been the most compelling aspect of the entire storyline. The moment we find out who or what the Vision actually is, the entire dynamic could shift dramatically. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture here. because Jericho's return has ramifications that extend far beyond just this one moment with CM Punk. Think about the landscape of Monday Night Raw right now. You've got other major players in the world title picture. You've got guys like Gunther, like Cody Rhodes, like others who are positioning themselves for major opportunities. Jericho throwing his name back into the mix changes the entire calculus. Jericho, even at this stage of his career, is still a main event level performer. He's still capable of main eventing WrestleMania. He's still capable of putting on absolute banger matches. And now that he's back, he's a wild card that nobody can ignore. The visual of Jericho standing tall in the middle of the ring while Punk recovered was absolutely iconic. It was the kind of moment that people are going to remember for years. This is the type of scene that becomes a meme, becomes a clip that gets shared thousands of times on social media, becomes a moment that defines this entire era of Monday Night Raw. Because wrestling isn't just about the in-ring action. Wrestling is about moments. Wrestling is about images. Wrestling is about the feeling that you get when something absolutely extraordinary happens on live television, and I'm telling you, this qualified. What happened immediately after was also absolutely critical to analyze. After Jericho stood tall, the camera panned to the Vision, who was pulling himself up at the entrance ramp. And here's the crucial detail: the Vision had an expression on its face. A look of recognition, perhaps even of respect for what Jericho had just done. It wasn't the look of someone who was intimidated. It was the look of someone who understood that the game had changed. The Vision nodded, and then walked away. Not retreating, not running, just leaving. That distinction is absolutely important because it tells us that the Vision is operating on a completely different level than the normal WWE competitor. The next morning, Twitter or X, whatever we're calling it now, absolutely exploded. The phrase "Jericho saved the day" was trending worldwide. Wrestling journalists were writing think pieces about what this return meant. Fans were debating in forums about the implications. CM Punk posted a photo on Instagram with the caption "Thank you" directed at Jericho, and the wrestling world lost its mind. The engagement, the conversation, the speculation, it was absolutely overwhelming. This is the power of professional wrestling at its best. So let's break down what we actually saw. We saw a legendary wrestler returning to active competition. We saw him immediately inserting himself into an ongoing storyline. We saw him making an impact within seconds of his arrival. We saw him establish himself as a threat to the Vision. And we saw the wrestling universe collectively explode because of it. That's a formula for successful professional wrestling storytelling. But here's what really intrigues me about this whole situation: what's the end game? Where does this storyline actually go from here? Are we building toward a Jericho versus the Vision match? Are we building toward a CM Punk versus the Vision match with Jericho in his corner? Are we building towards some kind of triple threat situation? Or is this setting up something even bigger for WrestleMania? Because WWE doesn't just bring back someone like Chris Jericho for a quick pop and a save. This is the kind of return that has layers. This is the kind of return that has implications for months of programming. Let me ask you another question for the comments: what's the worst possible outcome of this situation? And I don't mean story-wise, I mean in terms of how you would feel as a fan. Would you hate it if it turned out that Jericho was actually working with the Vision? Would you hate it if Jericho turned on Punk? Would you hate it if the Vision turned out to be someone unexpected, someone that Jericho had history with? Because sometimes the best wrestling stories are the ones where your expectations get absolutely shattered. The physical quality of the match, or the segment, rather, was absolutely exceptional. Jericho moved with the speed and agility that you would expect from someone who's been wrestling at the highest level for over 2 decades. His chops to the Vision were crisp. His strikes were sharp. His timing was impeccable. The code breaker was executed perfectly, and the impact was absolutely devastating. This wasn't a guy who's been gone for a while and is rusty. This was Chris Jericho in prime condition, ready to go and absolutely ready to make an impact. And let's talk about the commentary team's reaction, because Michael Cole and the rest of the announcers absolutely sold this moment. They were screaming. They were losing their minds. They were expressing the same emotions that the crowd was expressing, and that amplified the entire moment. When Michael Cole yelled "Jericho, my God, Jericho has returned," the energy in that statement was absolutely electric. Good commentary can take an already incredible moment and make it transcendent. The thing that's really been bothering me, though, and I need to get this out, is the fact that nobody predicted this. Not the major wrestling outlets. Not the insider journalists. Not the hardcore fans on Reddit and Discord. This return came absolutely out of nowhere. And that's actually fantastic in today's world where information travels at the speed of light. Wrestling surprise returns are incredibly rare nowadays. Everyone gets leaked. Everything gets spoiled. But this was a genuine surprise, and that made it so much more impactful. So here's my prediction: this is going to be a major storyline for the next several months. I think we're going to see Jericho and Punk team up against the Vision in some capacity. I think we're going to see Jericho challenge the Vision on his own terms. And I think this entire angle is building towards something absolutely monumental for WWE programming. Whether that's WrestleMania, whether that's earlier, whether that's SummerSlam, I genuinely don't know. But what I do know is that this is the beginning of something special. The implications for CM Punk's character are also absolutely critical to consider. Punk has been fighting this battle alone, and it was starting to wear on him. You could see it in his promos. You could see it in his body language. You could see it in the way he was wrestling. The burden of fighting the Vision solo was absolutely crushing him. Now, with Jericho in his corner, Punk might find renewed confidence. Punk might find a second wind. Punk might find a way to actually overcome this threat that's been haunting him. But don't sleep on what this means for Chris Jericho either. This isn't just about helping Punk. This is about Jericho inserting himself into a major storyline immediately upon his return. This is about Jericho showing that he's still relevant, that he's still dangerous, that he's still a draw in professional wrestling. Jericho has never been the type to take a backseat, and this return absolutely confirms that he still has championship aspirations, he still has goals, and he still has plenty of wrestling left in him. The facial expressions in this segment were absolutely stellar. The way Punk's face went from pure despair and pain to absolute shock and then joy when he heard that guitar riff was absolutely incredible to witness. You could see the exact moment hope returned to his eyes. You could see the exact moment he realized he wasn't fighting alone anymore. That's the power of good character work and good storytelling in professional wrestling. And the Vision's reaction was equally important. The way this entity processed what just happened, the way it acknowledged Jericho's presence, the way it nodded, it all suggested that the Vision is far more intelligent, far more aware, and far more complex than just a mindless monster. This is something with agency. This is something with intention. And that makes the Vision an infinitely more compelling character. Now, I want to know, and this is absolutely crucial for my next video, what do you think is coming next? Do you think we're going to see another confrontation on next week's Raw? Do you think we're going to see some kind of official match being signed? Do you think this storyline is going to take an absolutely unexpected turn? Because the best part about this moment is that we genuinely don't know what's coming next, and that uncertainty, that sense of unpredictability, is exactly what makes professional wrestling so absolutely engaging. Let me ask you one more question for the comments section. If you could pick any wrestler from WWE history to come back and save CM Punk from the Vision, would you have picked Chris Jericho? Would you have picked someone else? Would you have preferred a different outcome entirely? Because that's the kind of conversation that I absolutely live for as a wrestling content creator, and I want to hear from every single one of you about your thoughts. The production value of this segment was also absolutely top-notch. The camera angles were perfect. The lighting was dramatic. The sound design was immaculate. Everything about how this was filmed and presented was absolutely designed to make maximum impact. This wasn't some backstage segment. This was a primetime television moment, treated with the respect and importance that a Chris Jericho return absolutely deserves. And here's the beautiful thing about Chris Jericho as a character: he can go in any direction from here. He can be a babyface. He can be a heel. He can be morally ambiguous. He can be mysterious. He has the absolute range as a performer and as a character to make any direction work. That's why bringing back Jericho is such a genius move by WWE. His mere presence opens up infinite storytelling possibilities. The way Punk and Jericho acknowledged each other after the Vision left was absolutely powerful. It wasn't some huge celebration. It was a nod of respect. It was a recognition between two professionals who understand the gravity of the situation. That's the kind of subtle character work that elevates a moment from good to absolutely legendary. So, in conclusion, what we witnessed on Monday Night Raw was nothing short of revolutionary for the wrestling landscape. Chris Jericho's return to save CM Punk from the Vision is a moment that will be replayed, discussed, and analyzed for years to come. This is the moment where the entire trajectory of professional wrestling shifted. This is the moment where uncertainty was reintroduced into a storyline that was becoming predictable. This is the moment where a legend reminded everyone why he earned his legendary status. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to Ring Rumble, because we're going to be covering every development in this storyline. And absolutely, positively drop your thoughts in the comments section. Tell me what you thought about Jericho's return. Tell me what you think is coming next. Tell me if you agree or disagree with my analysis. Because this is a monumental moment in WWE programming, and I cannot wait to hear what all of you are thinking. Thank you so much for watching Ring Rumble, and I'll see you in the next one.